I resisted the waves of anger and resentment and shouted towards the Punisher, "Wait! Just wait!" And the messages of the constellations entered my head. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is astonished. A few constellations are worried over your judgment. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is having an intense allergic reaction to your gaze. Huh? What? All of a sudden, the constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire has entered the channel. Ah, Uriel. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is surprised. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is surprised. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is surprised. It wasn't strange for Uriel to enter the channel since it had been a week since the Asmodeus incident. The problem was the messages from the subsequent constellations. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is asking about what is happening. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband says he doesn't know much. The constellation who likes to change sex is giggling. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is heading towards the nebula Asgard. The sudden outpouring of messages from the constellations woke me up. What was this situation? Why were they pointing in my face? The Punisher quickly disappeared from the alley while I was confused by the messages of the constellations. Wait! It was a pity. This was a chance to get a good colleague. Jang Hayoung belatedly chased after me and asked, "How is it? Isn't she beautiful?" When did she appear? 3 or 4 days ago. The rumors that she's a beauty, as well as having incredible ability, quickly spread. She is also elusive. Will she come tomorrow? I hadn't been able to figure out her swordsmanship, but she would definitely be a great help in the Demon King selection. By the way, where did this person come from? She wasn't in the original Ways of Survival. She comes every day, so she'll probably come tomorrow. Were you fascinated by her? It's not like that. I'm joking. You don't like girls. Who said that? Where did such a rumor? The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is looking at you. Yeah, I think I know where the rumor came from. It's been a while, Uriel. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is raising her nose with an ahem. I listened to Uriel's indirect messages while heading to the treatment room with Uriel. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is praising herself. Most of Uriel's stories were about how she convinced Yu Jung-hyuk to go to the demon world. As expected, it was Uriel who persuaded Yu Jung-hyuk to save me. It was as I thought. He wouldn't have come here on his own to save me. Your symbolic body is currently being repaired. You'll be able to enter it again when it's done. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is touched to tears. By the way, what personal scenario did you give Yu Jung-hyuk? It would be dangerous for an archangel to release a personal scenario in the demon world. In fact, it was dangerous for a high-level constellation like Uriel to come to the demon world. The Nebula Eden had a truce with the 72 demon kings of the demon world. Perhaps Uriel was conscious of this face and manifested herself as a symbolic body instead of an incarnation body. Uriel wouldn't have been so helpless against Asmodeus if it wasn't for this. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is making a sullen expression. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire says it doesn't matter anymore. Once the link between Yu Jung-hyuk and Uriel was cut off, Uriel's personal scenario had been forcibly erased. Yu Jung-hyuk said that he received another personal scenario. I was listening to Uriel's story when Jang Hayoung interrupted. How did you become so familiar with the constellations? I'm also a constellation. What? Are you joking? Didn't I tell you? Jang Hayoung had a complicated expression on his face. A constellation, the beings in the sky, the same as the mummy who appeared in the morning? That's usually the case. That's why there is a modifier. A constellation lives in the context of that modifier. Come to think of it, there was that setting. The nature of the constellations was inside the context of the modifier. I had become corrupted as soon as I became a constellation, so I couldn't see the context. That's right, those constellations. What is your modifier? Jang Hayoung was conscious of my status as a constellation and became cautious. I couldn't help but smile. This bastard would probably be surprised to know who I am. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is alert towards the incarnation Jang Hayoung. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is warning incarnation Jang Hayoung not to be too friendly. Jang Jang Hayoung was intimidated by Uriel and quickly moved away from me. The constellation Demon Like Judge of Fire is making an angelic smile. Why did the angel say this to him? I entered the treatment room and was able to see Jung Hyuk leisurely sitting at the table while drinking tea. You're late. What? You're already here? I didn't know where he went, but Yoo Jung Hyuk's boots were covered with dirt. The tea had also been changed. Was there herbal tea here? Thinking about it, this guy's taste was very delicate. Yoo Jung Hyuk glanced at Jang Hayoung behind me. Is he the one you mentioned? That's right, I answered, and Jang Hayoung stepped forward. This is the new Duke? Hello, I'm Aslin. You're a rude jerk. This is because Jang Hayoung spoke without any honorifics. Sorry, I'm actually a bitch. I know some people were confused by this. Jang Hayoung is a male, since Kim Dokja said the author took all his suggestions about the character apart from the gender. Kim Dokja suggested that the character be a beautiful woman, but the author made him a beautiful man. Then later, Jang Hayoung replies with, Earth is the only place that judges by the cover, when asked if he is a man. Thus, it is likely that Jang Hayoung has the body of a man but the mind of a female, which is why he replies like this to Yoo Jung Hyuk. Their gazes clashed in the air. I felt the atmosphere become awkward and quickly interrupted. Is this the first time you've seen each other? Yoo Jung Hyuk, didn't you come here a few days ago? There was no time for greetings. Then your new colleague is someone who doesn't know if he's a man or a woman? That's right. I hate weak guys. I'm not weak? Jang Hayoung puffed up his chest, but he didn't enter Yoo Jung Hyuk's eyes. He might have the unidentified wall, but his power was still insufficient compared to the transcendent Yoo Jung Hyuk. They were both main characters, but Yoo Jung Hyuk was the first one. Yoo Jung Hyuk quietly lowered his teacup and spoke in a cold voice. He isn't worth waiting for. Surely this jerk isn't the only one. I quickly responded, instead of the offended Jang Hayoung. Oh, there's one more. I haven't talked to the person yet, but I've found a decent colleague. Who is it? She's called the Punisher. She appeared a little while ago, and I think she'll be quite helpful. Yoo Jung Hyuk's expression became complicated at my words. That person is impossible. What? Why? I tried to get her, but failed. What did you say to her? Were you mean? Something like, I will kill you if you don't come become my colleague. I fell silent at Yoo Jung Hyuk's furious expression. Yoo Jung Hyuk must have a good reason if he was saying this. I didn't know, but perhaps he had a previous love or hate relationship with her. Who was that woman to have such a relationship with Yoo Jung Hyuk? She wasn't in the original. No, the original had changed a bit, and there might be a new story. I should look for it soon. Then there's only one way left. Jang Hayoung received my gaze and replied with a sulky expression. Why? What is it? Did you do what I asked correctly? I did. What about the transcendent I told you about? I got a response. Come and look. Yoo Jung Hyuk raised an eyebrow as he listened to the conversation between Jang Hayoung and I. Transcendent? What are you talking about? This person can communicate with beings of other scenarios. Isn't he quite useful? It was a scheme to appeal Jang Hayoung's ability to him, but Yoo Jung Hyuk's expression was still sour. So? It isn't limited to the colleagues or incarnations. If we recruit constellations or transcendents, the constellations aren't possible. I can't trust them. Then are you okay with transcendents? Have you thought of someone? I nodded. I will go to First Miram. The First Miram? It's a place where transcendents are the most abundant. I know what you're thinking, but there's no guarantee that they are all superior to the constellations. There are many big evils and big demons present. I know, but aren't there others? Do you think they will all help you just because they have a touch of chivalrous spirit? I don't remember seeing a decent human being among those in Miram. I felt a deep resentment in Yoo Jung Hyuk's voice. Well, it wasn't unreasonable, since he already experienced the first Miram in the last regression. However, at least one person might help. I watched Yoo Jung Hyuk's distorted expression and spoke in a joyful manner. I'm going to ask for help from the Breaking the Sky Sword Saint. Breaking the Sky Sword Saint. One of the most powerful transcendents in all of Ways of Survival. She wasn't at the top at this point in time, but her skills were enough. It was because the Breaking Sky Sword Saint was none other than Jang Hayoung's master. Why that person? She's an unconventional existence that isn't tied to righteousness or unrighteousness. Also, isn't it natural to pick your master? Jang Hayoung's expression was worse when the story of the Punisher came out. The sight of the disconcerted Jang Hayoung, it was really unusual. Jang Hayoung was pale and his forehead was sweaty. Absolutely not. Why? If I say no, then you can't. That person can absolutely never. Of course, I read Ways of Survival and knew why Jang Hayoung was acting like this. It couldn't be helped. This time I had to move according to my plan. No, we have to go. I've already obtained a ticket. Bu floated in the air and made a sound. Bah? A new scenario message followed. A new sub-scenario has arrived. The first Miram was a scenario area where people frequently came and went, so I was able to purchase portal tickets from the Dokkaebi bag, although it required 50,000 coins. However, the advantage was that I could come and go at will. Jang Hayoung, think carefully. It might not necessarily be the Breaking the Sky Sword Saint. There are quite a few useful things you can obtain there. The first Miram was a place where a variety of warriors from the 20th to 40th regressions gather. If we went there at this point in time, there would certainly be a lot of information and hidden pieces available. Jang Hayoung was troubled for a long time before asking, "When are you going?" I smiled and replied, "Right now."